What's up? We're live. Now, let me see if I can get this at the right height. Let's do this. Let's do this. As the sirens are going off, going. What's up, everyone? So nice to see some of you. We got 2 people in the house. No. Who we got? Who we got? We got Hasna, 1975. Hello, how are you? What's going on? What's up, Ursula and Mike and everyone? I thought I would talk about weight loss. I did a story on my Instagram, which is Stephanie Ketogenic, about weird ways that you can drop body fat that you don't think about. You liked it already? Like up the stream. You had a doctor visit today, Lynn. I hope it was quite successful. I hope your doctor was listening, because doctors have, you guys check this out, they have 6 minutes to walk into an office and out. That's why they're so like impatient and like and then they're out the door. Very successful, great. Okay, you've got 2.2 blood ketones. Yay. Yay, Lynn! For the 2.2 millimolar in ketones. Now, what's your glucose? That's also very important. Let's see here. Back in ketosis. Hey, girl, hey. Is it possible to is it possible to be healthy by just eating fatty meat, no veggies? Seems like you can get inflammation. Vicky, so I'll explain that really quick, and then I'm going to talk about fat loss. Now, the reason why people do a carnivore diet, they don't realize it, is because they don't digest the anti-nutrients in plants very well. And since we eat plants out of season, then sometimes they have such bad inflammation from eating, I know, plants and salads. You think salads would mess people up? It fracks them up. That eating fatty meats is actually more or less inflammatory and more cooling off until their body does begin to recalibrate and fix that gut lining. Okay, so hold off there, Mike. I'm going to talk about fat loss because that's the title of this video, and people who click on it are waiting to hear that. And then I'm going to get to your questions, and then I'm going to bounce. Now, there are things that I'm going to show you. There's 2 camps. There's ketogenic, and then there's just low carb, high fat, and then which is just carb. So people who still eat carbs do not understand that the system that your body needs to go through to access body fat. So let's talk about body fat for a little minute, you guys. Maybe too much magnesium. Okay, hold on. Hold on, beautiful people. Hold on, let me lift this up a little bit. Okay. No, it's too much above my, so you can't, in photography, because I was a photographer for a long time, you can't have that big space above the head. So I'm going to lower this a little bit. Okay. Hey, Deborah, we got my mod in the house. She's going to take care of any trolls who might be problematic, but so far so good. All right, let's get this crack-a-lackin'. All right. So essentially, what you guys need to understand is that people have this like crazy idea that if they eat a lot of fat, they're going to get fat on keto. Therefore, their fats are too low, their protein is too high, they don't eat the right macronutrients, they're not eating organic, they're not eating non-GMO, they're not eating non-comfort and pasture and all this kind of stuff, which actually isn't the most important. They actually just have their macronutrients, the wrong type and the wrong amounts, which is your fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. Now, listen to me, child, and listen to me well. Not only must you have your macronutrients on point, but the timing of your macronutrients and the way you eat and chew those macronutrients is critical to accessing body fat, irregardless if you do a ketogenic protocol or if you're glucose and carb dependent, glycogen and glucose dependent. Now, let's break it down, right? Some of the mistakes that people make are having their fats too low because they think they're going to gain weight on fat because there's this preconceived idea that fat makes you fat. Fat does not make you fat, therefore you don't count calories, which really should have been what the video is about, but I've done 20 videos on you don't count calories. Now, it is the state of your metabolism, and everybody's metabolic rate is different, and that's the thing that's so wrong about counting your calories, okay? Because if you, let's say, eat 1,200 calories, and you have a thyroid condition, and your fats are too low and your protein's too high, then it doesn't matter if you go down to 500 calories, the body's not going to drop a second of fat. Not only is it not going to drop, but it's going to exacerbate the issues with the thyroid, the T3 hormone, and the body and leptin, and then your body's going to want to start storing more fat, and then those fat cells are going to create estrogen, and estrogen's just going to create more fat within the cell. So you just keep getting fat on lower calories. So a lot of people don't understand these little systems and how they have a place in your body to survive. The body wants to get fat because getting fat is a way to survive. Now, with that said, there are certain things that you have to consider when it comes to doing keto, which is first your body starts to break down the dietary fat, which you must eat a bunch of it, because again, I've stated this 1,000 times, you must retrain the brain to access and utilize a new system. Okay, we want the body to use acetoacetate. We want ketone bodies to get within the bloodstream, within the Krebs cycle, within the passive blood-brain barrier of the brain, and to be utilized within cells as energy. So if you guys don't get all the little steps in between, I didn't say between, not tweens, if you don't get the steps in between correct, then you can start to create more damage, which makes you store more fat, which is typically what happens with the HCG garbage and any type of backloading or low carb, high fat, or anything that's a starvation diet. Oh, Richard's in the house too. I got two of my mods, right? I got two of my mods in the house. These are the moderators, which is Richard and Deborah. So they're gonna watch the trolls who try to come into the chat. So with that said, and they might be able to answer some of your questions, but I really want you guys to listen right now instead of barraging a lot of the mods with questions. Let me just get through how you get fat first, okay? So moderators, let people know to listen right now because they tend to be very anxious to get questions out, and I will answer them, and you guys will also help answering the questions. But let me just get this whole thing out about weight loss or fat weight gain or whatever. A lot of you guys who don't poop have estrogen backload back up into the bloodstream and back to the liver. So now your body becomes very estrogenic, and men, you too. If your body becomes estrogenic, then those fat cells will crank out more estrogen, and in return, as a negative feedback loop, then the estrogen will begin to make more fat within the cells. So I don't care how many calories you go down, if you don't address basic biological science of get rid of estrogen, you're not getting rid of the way that you gain fat. It's not the keto diet, it's the application of it. So a lot of you guys who do keto wrong have a negative reaction to it. So the body wants to increase the estrogen, right? It's very easy to increase too much estrogen. Now we need estrogen for the pliability and stretchiness of our arteries and our muscles. So men who try to go on, aromatizing inhibitors and stuff like that, it's not smart to do that, very dangerous. So what I'm trying to say is that you want your reproductive hormones to be in balance, to be able, and I'm not even talking about the thyroid and adrenals, the thyroid and the adrenals at this point. I'm just stressing estrogen, which you guys don't understand. So cortisol, right, which I've spoken about before, too much excess cortisol, because we need cortisol, excess cortisol can create a thing called pregnenolone steal, which is to mess with your pregnenolone, your DHEA, and then begin to take down this lovely hormone called progesterone, and also drive down the testosterone in men and women, and drive up the estrogen. And what does estrogen do, guys? What? Estrogen creates more fat within the fat cells. So you lose muscle when you go on these stupid diets, including keto, and you lose water, but you're not, and muscle, water, but you're not actually losing that fat until you actually start to declog some of these systems. Now, a lot of you guys have estrogen re-enter back into the liver, creating detoxification pathway issues. If you guys have a poor liver function, kidney function, right, the filtration rate of your kidneys, if these things aren't functioning properly, you ain't gonna access the fat cells and then preserve the muscle, right? Essentially, you're not gonna have the business. It's not gonna happen. Keto's not going to happen unless these systems are very well taken care of. Okay? So, of course, things that are estrogenic are plastic bottles, plastic Tupperware in microwaves, in a microwave. Also, the pesticides on non-organic foods because it is designed to make the male insect sterile, which raises our testosterone. Milk, dairy products from non-grass-fed, non-hormone injected cows, which then they totally make them estrogenic, are, you know, people who are eating who are still eating meats, cows that have been injected with steroids to get bigger and fattier and more corn, and these things will also make you very estrogenic. So that means vegetables, that anything with thin skin, the fruits with thin skin for those who are still eating fruits, and our meat products. So we have to look at, you know, at the microscope at these things. You also have to be careful for things like soy. Now, people believe that soy is a phytoestrogen and can help balance estrogen. But let's keep it real, people. Soy, right? Non-fermented soy, and we eat, you know, some people eat tons of it, is a super high phytic acid plant anti-nutrient food, which then creates that rebound of estrogen dominance within men and women. Period. Now, with that said, sugar also creates estrogen dominance, which makes you fat, which you can't really lose weight because your blood sugar is dysregulated, right? Dysregulated blood sugar goes back to that very, very high cortisol response. So dysregulated, I cannot talk today. Dysregulated blood sugar means blood sugar too low, means that glucagon's got to spike it through a process called gluconeogenesis, which is the breakdown of amino acids to raise your blood sugar back up. And now you're going through this teeter-totter, too much cortisol, pregnenolone steal, robbing from DHEA, and boop goes your estrogen, and then you get fat, and then you get flabby, and then you get cellulite. And men, you know, your parts don't work. Yeah, your parts don't work. You can't sleep. And these are the things that we need to consider. What up, Keishel? Thank you, Richard, for the $5. Thank you for donating to the super chat, to the content of Stephanie Going Bananas. We got 128 people, and we only have 47 likes. Y'all see that I am trying, okay? You know, I'm not a streamer who talks about my day. I'm a cleaner that pumps out content. So you guys don't have to donate to the super chat, but please donate to a like. Let's raise the like ratio because I've said this and I have to continue saying it. It helps the algorithm for people to find my channel because a lot of people don't find my channel because of me not creating a bunch of promises about keto or having a lack of information. So a lot of people on the internet don't understand the process of ketogenesis, the biology behind it. It's not like you just drop your carbs and, you know, or I'm in an intermittent fast and, you know, somebody was like trying to argue with me online about doing the intermittent fasting, saying, who's the best way to regulate insulin? Because, you know, the second way besides estrogen, why people get fat is the dysregulation of their insulin. So if you don't eat carbs, that means, and if you fast, and if you're not eating anything, that means that your insulin's going to drop and you're going to stop storing fat. Wrong. There's a thing called physiological insulin resistance. That's a rebound to not eating. The brain's like, okay, I'm hungry. Like, I need some gasoline in the tank to drive this Lamborghini. And if you don't put some gasoline in this tank, I can make sugar without you eating nothing through gluconeogenesis, which is the breakdown of amino acids anywhere in the body. And we don't want that. So your body can actually raise your blood sugar to diabetic high numbers without eating a drop of food. Yes, Google it. Physiological insulin resistance response to low carb diets. How do I know this? Beyond stupid Google? Because I have actually seen this in the thousands of people I do consultations with. Rebound of blood sugar. Stephanie, I have the early morning dawns phenomenon. I can't get my blood sugar down. I can't get my blood sugar down. My blood sugars. What did someone say in my because I have a Facebook group. It's a keto course Facebook group. It's a private group. You sign up through my website. Okay. Booyaka! What's up, Julia? Juliet, thank you, Marie. Thank you for donating to this super chat. Thank you so much. Hearts, hearts, not water yet. Hearts, 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 hearts. Thank you so much, Juliet, and thank you. Was it Richard? Richard's always donating, child. I don't know why. He's helping me with everything. So is Deborah. Okay. Mike's like, does it cost to speak with him? Of course. This is how I make a living, right? So in the beginning, you guys, I was not trying to make a living. I've got thousands of videos on the internet where I was just trying to spread the knowledge of what I learned to have my mother not die from a glioblastoma brain tumor. The most aggressive brain cancer that exists is called a glioblastoma. And when I went and Googled keto, there was zero information. So I just started doing videos and telling people, because I had done a 2-year kind of my own research study with my personal training clients. I used to personal train people, and I put them on keto. I didn't know what I was doing back then, but then when I felt like I had enough data, then I went to the internet and started talking about it. So back in the day, no, I wasn't trying to make no money. I was just, please, y'all, I need to stuff the internet with information. But soon I stopped working as a trainer and started going full-time because people were constantly demanding consultations with me. I want a consultation, I want a consultation, I want a consultation, and then created a new career, which was to actually consult people based on my experience. Now I've been doing this thing for 10 years, so I know what I'm doing. Boop. Okay, after the first couple years, I know what I was doing. You guys have heard the stories of me not knowing what I was doing in the first couple of years, applying keto onto people, not understanding biology. I didn't understand it, right? I did not understand our systems, right? I didn't understand the medulla, the hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal, and thyroid axis. I didn't understand these things like pregnenolone steel. I didn't understand them. I didn't understand disease. I didn't understand autoimmunity. I didn't understand any of it, but now I understand, for the most part, at least by 2%. Story as how to the best utilize ketones. But okay, so Deborah, I'm not taking any questions right now, so Lori just has to wait until I'm done with my rant. Lori, just hold on just a second there, child. Just 1 second, because once I start answering one question, it'll go into, there's 139 people in this chat, and then people are gonna start answering questions. I just want to cover the content on the title, which was fat loss. So, how do you regulate fat loss? By getting your reproductive hormones back in the balance, the 3 estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, men and women. That's one way. And a lot of you women have to work on raising back up your progesterone because it's too low. Even if your estrogen is not high in a number, right, then you have to get your progesterone back up to here so the estrogen doesn't dominate. That domination, right, creates a lot of problems and a lot of creating of estrogen and gallbladder and liver issues and all types of issues on top of issues and PMS and dysregulated menstrual cycle and all this kind of stuff. So, like I said, Lucy, child, hold on with the questions. I will talk about menopause. I will talk about it. You guys know that I'm 50. Actually, I'm turning 51, like right around the corner. Like 2 eye blinks, I will be 51. So I'm basically 51. So we will talk about menopause, which I am clearly not going through. Not yet. All right. So with that said, I always tell people that I protect my adrenals, which has something to do with menopause, because your adrenal glands are going to release the darn cortisol that raises your blood sugar, that raises your insulin, starts storing fat, and starts damaging your thyroid. So I protect them. They're right here, right? They're the size of little green peas. And they're so tiny, and no one pays attention to these beautiful little tiny things. Everybody's just like, you know, I will rest when I'm dead. You know, they just keep pounding the coffee, and this poor little adrenal is like, I'm dying, please rest. So, okay guys, so it's very, very important. The estrogen issue is a big problem with everyone. I go to the gym, I'm like, he's estrogenic, he's estrogenic, he's estrogenic, she's estrogenic. I can just see it on people. So that's one, right? The second thing is your insulin issue. So a lot of people cannot regulate their insulin because they're having these rebounds. First, or they were insulin resistant before they did keto. And for the carb people who found me, you might have insulin issues and not even realize it. A lot of people realize they have insulin issues when they start doing keto because they start using a glucometer. They're like, wow, my blood, what did this woman say? My A1C was 9.1. And I was like, girl, you need to go to the hospital. Like, that's scary high. And, or was it A1C or her fasted was 9.1 millimolars. Or people's glucose that is like 300, yo, you can go into a coma. So a lot of people don't know that they're insulin resistant because people find that insulin resistance or type 2 diabetics are in people who are overweight. No, you could be rail thin and be type 2 diabetic, which is damaging this insulin signal. That's a problem. And when insulin, and a lot of these people who starve. So remember, physiological insulin resistance rebound. You're not eating, you eat a bunch of candy. You're not eating, you want a simple sugar because the brain's like, I need glucose. This can create type 2 diabetes and be that thin and have insulin problems. True that. True story. So, what you want to do is regulate your insulin. Now, keto is really great for that, to regulate your insulin, but there's like 50 things that you have to do right. And if you don't do all 50, it won't work, right? You have to sleep, because that's when your body starts utilizing and breaking down body fat and using that as ketones, right? You have to diaphragmatic breathe. You have to relax the central nervous system past the sun going down, because if the sun's gone down and that cortisol to cortisol to melatonin switch happens between 2 and 4 in the afternoon, and if cortisol is trying to go down and it goes back up again, then you become gluconeogenic through cortisol. So then you're just creating this rebound reaction, and your insulin will not be regulated. So insulin and glucagon must work in harmony, same as potassium and sodium. A lot of you guys need to understand these synergistic balances of hormones. Very, very important. So people who eat carbs, I told you out in the wild, we wouldn't have access to things more than probably 5 grams. If we're not talking about honey, right, for hunter-gatherers, we wouldn't have access to foods that are higher than 5 net carbs a day, which the pancreas can easily deal with 5. When you go to 10, 80, or when you go to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 carbs in one meal, now your insulin is going to be barfing out bolus amounts of insulin, and it'll stack up in the bloodstream and continue to store. And then what happens to those storage compartments of fat from insulin? They make more estrogen, and then you get more fat, which is I always talk about the relationship between estrogen and insulin when people are becoming overweight. We just need to understand how that happens. How does that system happen when we start just learning how to store? Now, with that said, there's another weird stuff. There's 2 more weird things I want you to consider. Number 1, eating too fast. Eating too fast for a keto person or a carb person makes you fat. Now, how does that work? Well, the body backs up, right? You eat, chew, don't chew it you need to chew it until it's liquid. Like people are like, oh my God, chew 40 times. Well, who's going to count? So just chew until the stuff is completely liquid in your mouth. Once it's liquid, you can then take it down. It'll go down, swallow to the stomach, HCl, enzymes and peptides begin to break down whatever that you swallowed, and then slowly enter the blood, go into the small intestine slowly, and then to the bloodstream slowly, which means you don't have as much of a glucose spike, which means you don't have a big insulin spike, which means you don't store fat as easily, eating slow. As dumb as it sounds, it is that simple. You eat slow, things go slowly into the bloodstream and then slowly become partitioned off into the bloodstream. If you have a big volume of glucose hitting the bloodstream, insulin's always going to spike over the glucose and store it. Boop. Now, if you have good GLUT4 receptor development and good muscles, that will help to clear out some of that glucose. That's why some thin people can eat a shitload of carbs and still be thin. They have good efficient fat cells because it releases back as glucose and is utilized, or they have good GLUT receptors in their muscles and the body just uptakes it and use it. But that is pretty much for young people, okay? And people who've got like really great genetics before they destroy their genetics through epigenetics in the wrong direction. Chew your food slowly. Now, another thing you want to do for carb people is please do not have fat don't have your fats with high sugars, right? Sugar, sweet fruits, because you put them 2 together and now you've got a cram load for insulin to store, right? Because the glucose is going to spike insulin and fat's going to be there and it's going to store everything. Now, fat by itself does not motivate insulin. That's why people can lose body fat on a ketogenic diet if they are adapted, because fat does not make insulin spike. Insulin stores, remember? Stores as fat. So if you have no problem with your gallbladder, you have no histamine intolerance, and you have your stress down, you're connected to circadian rhythm, you sleep well, now, you guys, you can eat high fat, which is what I do. You guys know I eat about 200 to 300 grams of fat per day at 5'3". Okay? So I'll have all that fat, but my glucose is so low, that means my insulin is low and it's strong. So I don't use that much insulin. So I'm not going to have this over bolus amount of insulin to store, because when I eat fat, my glucose is low, my insulin is low, and then I don't store fat. And then when I sleep, what happens? I'm able to access the body fat, because no longer dependent on the dietary fat to create ketones. I can now access the body fat and keep myself lean at the age of 50 and almost 51. And that's how it works. I'm going to sit down now and take your questions and have some water. Avocados are good for diabetics, Joshua, if you don't have a latex allergy. Avocados are great because they have a lot of carbs, but they have a lot of fiber. So fat and fiber slows down the rate at which your body can digest things. Very, very slows it down very much. What we got going on here? Okay, no coffee. Now, I've been missing the little chats back and forth with each other, but, you know, typically the World Wide Web who watches the replay won't really care what you guys are chatting back. Do you count the carbs from the fibers? So you take, let's say if avocado has 13 grams, a Hass avocado has 13 grams of carbs, but it has, what, I don't know, I think it's like 8 or 9 grams of fiber. You take the fiber number minus the total number of carbs, and that's the amount of carbs you're actually taking in, grams of carbs. You might take in like 3 grams of carbs from an avocado. But even that, the fat is so, like, there's so much digestion, and you have to deal with the fat as well. So it's just not the fiber, it's also the fat. So the fat will slow down the rate at which it will hit the bloodstream, which is what I was trying to tell you about backing up the stomach. Can chronic kidney disease be overcome to lose body fat on keto? So chronic kidney disease is very interesting how people develop chronic kidney disease. So keto can be great because the kind of protein you're going to eat is going to be super, super fatty cuts of meat. So you're not going to be eating a lot of lean meats, a lot of acidic meats, right? Because it's not much muscle meat. You want to do fatty meats. And you're going to be lowering your amount of protein because you don't need as much protein anymore because we're dropping our insulin. In theory, a lot of people don't do that, but you know. Hey Stephanie, do you recommend any brand of ox bile? No, I don't recommend brands anymore. Maca powders, no. No, Mike, no maca powders. Spike blood sugar. How can you get rid of water weight? I'm taking potassium and magnesium powder. Okay, don't take magnesium. This phone was supposed to get fixed. I took it to the store. Okay, so you don't take potassium powder. It doesn't have enough potassium to regulate the potassium-sodium balance, right? So when you don't have enough potassium, you need like 4,700 milligrams of potassium now. You can hit 3,000, you good, right? So you have like cooked or boiled spinach, which is going to raise the potassium balance. And if you have enough sodium and potassium in balance, you should stop swelling like a balloon on keto or in general. How do you get your body to utilize ketones it's producing? That's 2,000 videos deep. What's your opinion on extended fast? Garbage. Okay, 5-day fast, any fast, physiological instrument. That's when you fast, people. It's just anorexia. Fasting is anorexia. Your body's dependent on fuel coming in. So if fuel doesn't come in, it goes into gluconeogenesis, like this. Break down muscle, collagen. No, you don't fast. People, y'all are addicted to these stupid, sorry, I'm not trying to be condescending, I'm just reacting. These ridiculous diets, these concepts, people are so brainwashed. Any magnesium vitamins? No, you want to get like magnesium type of supplements that don't have like chemicals in the processing of them. If you're taking a chelated magnesium, be very careful what kind. Okay, let's see here. I still take 200 grams of fat a day if I don't exercise at all. Yeah, of course, Joanne. And remember, you don't get fat. I just said it. Joanne, you don't get fat on fat. You get fat on insulin. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you eat 200 grams of fat or 4,000 grams of fat. If you don't regulate your insulin, that's the thing that makes you fat. It's not the fat people. Okay, I'm just starting... Okay, I'm just starting out on keto. The ketogenic, should I eat really high fat? Yes. Just beginning. Yes, everybody eat high fat. If you don't eat fat, you're not going to get into ketosis, okay? Because if your carbs are completely low, your starches and sugars are low, and your fat's not high enough, you're going to frack up your thyroid, okay? You don't want your hair to start falling out. You must eat a lot of fat, people, or you're going to develop thyroid problems, right? Or reproductive problems, right? Stephanie, can you give an example on how to get 200 grams of fat in? Well, if this were a tea, I'm kind of repeating myself, so I know that you're a newbie. If this were a tea, I would just dump a bunch of fat in it and drink it. Or I just put slabs of butter on my plate. Broccoli, meat, slab of butter in the mouth. Slab of butter on the meat, on the veggie, in the mouth. Slab. I've even done slabs of butter with slices of avocado. Easy. Easy breezy. I have like 7 tablespoons of butter in my breakfast. Okay. Do I need electrolytes during the carnivore diet? Yes. Or you're going to get sick. I hope you're only doing... Okay, so veggies give you inflammation. Exactly. So Vicky's the only person, like, people like Vicky are the only people I suggest the carnivore diet. Do a ketogenic version of it. Get your fats really, really high. Fats don't have a lot of bacteria on them. People react to the bacteria when they develop leaky gut, right? That's the thing where people start developing these issues with the vegetables, is because they start to develop holes in the small intestine. The gaps, the wall opens up, and then there's a histamine response from the mast cells. And so doing a carnivore diet that's ketogenic, which is fatty meats, you don't want things with too much methionine, too much acids and uric acids and purines and all this stuff that make the kidneys work too hard, because you guys think about it, you've got to get proteins down into a small enough particle size so that the kidneys can filter it. If you got leaky gut, which a lot of you guys do, that's a lot of work for the kidneys. Lord of child, Lord, I say, how do you get the electrolytes then? Okay, you get the electrolytes. What are electrolytes? Magnesium, potassium, sodium. Spinach and avocado are high in potassium. Also bone marrow. Also some organ meats. You can also do magnesium. Magnesium, the soil is completely over farmed, so you can take it in supplemental form. And then sodium is easy. So there you go. Magnesium, potassium, and sodium. Done. How many cubes of butter do you consume? I don't use cubes, I do slabs. So I eat a lot. Like tablespoons, it's probably a day, probably about 8 tablespoons of butter a day, just the butter. I eat almost a whole package of butter a day. Can't wait for your book to come out. I know, me too. Me too. You guys know I'm behind on the book, but I'm catching up. It's almost done. Okay, let's see here. What do we got? Ha 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 ha, Mike says. Best diet for kidneys. You want keto? Keto is great for kidney disease because you eat very low protein, very high fat. Right? And things like spinach. You don't have to eat spinach. You got kidney issues. Let's see here. But that's more for gout, I think. Let's see here. What about you don't eat no coffee? Haley, no coffee. Child, no coffee. You want to destroy your thyroid and your adrenals, no coffee. So caribou, what is it? Caribou, Maine. I'm gonna have to order it. Okay. Tell me, Juliet. First, I want you guys to just like up the stream. Juliet wants you to donate to the super chat, but I want you guys to like up the stream because we have 157 people in this broadcast right now. 157 eyeballs. Kind of weird, right? That's kind of funky. All right. Yo, we got the likes up. We got 107. For those who just found me, because there's 150 something people in this chat. I know a lot of you are like, who's this chick? Who is she? Like up the stream. Like up the stream, guys, because it helps the algorithm of people finding me. And I am not some 20-something-year-old, or even I am no millennial. Okay, my ass is in my 50s talking about this stuff, all right? 50s with what? Y'all know, boom, the business. That's what's up. Shh. Okay. Thank you, CK. Thank you, Deborah, also for explaining. And Richard, for these guys, because it gets hard. There's so many people asking me questions. What do you think about drinking hot water with lemon, ginger, first thing in the morning? It's great, because lemon right? Lemon's very good because it has plant pectins. It helps pull out estrogen out of the liver. And also ginger is really great for the liver as well. And when it's warm, it doesn't have to be absorbed. It can be absorbed more quickly. The body doesn't have to cool it down. How do you cure hypoglycemia? By eating fats every 3 hours. Boom, done, every 3 hours. So it's like you're eating 6 times a day like you're eating carbs on keto. If you have gout. So if you have gout, like I said, pork belly. If you can find a pork belly that has 98% fat, right? Or you just can lower your amount of proteins and do fatty meats that have less uric acid in them and purines, and stay away from spinach and eat your food slowly and get some sleep, because a lot of you guys have gout flare-ups because you guys have too much cortisol, and cortisol beyond the acids in meat, cortisol can also spike these gout episodes that people go through. And obviously do keto and stop eating carbs, because carbs are really poor. Tell Richard some pork jowl. Okay, if you are keto adapted, do you allow macadamia nuts? Yes, if you don't have a problem with them. Some people have a problem with them. There's no man who wrote an exercise book. Tripping. Wait, what is the man's? Oh, what is the man's name who's a friend of? Who's my friend? Oh, you mean, Parnell. Love me some Parnell. Wait, let me see that question again. I'm overlooking the video of y'all. Okay, I'll do, you know what, Natasha? So Parnell is this man, he's almost 60 years old. He is so smart. He really understands the muscular system. And he's really, really well-versed. He's more well-versed than myself. So sometimes we've done videos together. So I think I will do a video with Parnell maybe next week. And we can talk, because he was the one that was really emphasizing people who have pelvic girdle tilts, and then they're trying to do ab crunches and they're not developing their lower abs because they need to straighten their plumb line and not have their posture in this direction but more in this direction, so then they can actually access the abdominals, which is very interesting about the plumb line. Okay, so I have Hashimoto's. I've heard people say I need to no less than 50 carbs. That's a lie. They're falling into destiny. No. So people who say that don't actually have people adapt. You can actually, first of all, you can still get glucose to your red blood cells via gluconeogenesis. So no matter what, nobody's going to have a blood sugar of 0. So we're going to have blood sugar in keto around 69 to 80 milligrams per deciliter. That's enough glucose for your red blood cells for your thyroid. Number 2, the reason why people have thyroid issues is because they don't adapt. That's why people, so if you're eating 50 carbs, that's too low amount of carbs for somebody who's carb dependent, right? So if you're trying to do higher fats and lower carbs but not keto, that means glucose dependent, then you're going to have your carbs to 80 to 100, right? And if you're going to do keto, there must be a 20 net. Period. And you have to eat high fat and get your stress down and diaphragmatic breathe and all these things I keep preaching over and over and over again, or don't do keto, or else it'll frack you up. You don't have thyroid, have Hashis, and you can still do keto. It's amazing. 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 20 grams of carbs, right? Yep. Net. I'm a workout freak somehow, sort of. When I get started working out, and let's see. When can you start? You can start working out now, but you just slow it down. You do some time under tension, right? I always explain to you guys to slow your workouts down, right, and focus on the negatives and get those muscle fibers to grind. Or it's actually like this. The actin myosin works like this. So it doesn't matter if I'm doing a bicep curl, I'm going to slow on the negatives. If I'm doing a shoulder press, I'm going to slow on the negatives. If I'm doing kickbacks, well, that's a little bit harder, but you're just going to slow down and get a really nice grinding motion. And then you don't have to stop working out, because I can talk through all these workouts. You don't have to lift heavy doing that with time under tension anyway. Do you think blood type has any merit? Not really. No. I think epigenetics, I think gene mutations play a role, but I really think that people who have gene mutations or different blood types, they think like, oh, I'm more of a protein person. No, we all need amino acids, okay? We all need the 22 amino acids to build tissue. We need B12. We need our B complex. We need leucine, isoleucine. We need these branched chain amino acids. We need L-carnitine. We need these things to repair our cells. So we all need protein. Okay, we just need protein. That's why people who eat plants or plant-based people start to take too many supplements, which nothing is better than Mother Nature. You guys know I've been eating a lot of organ meats lately, and I cannot even tell you, like, all my experimenting on organ meat is absolutely, I cannot preach the pastured organ meat, non-GMO, corn-fed. I cannot preach. Y'all, if you want to get healthy, jump on the organ meats because they're super high in nutrition, including vitamin C, without the fructose. Let's see here. What does yoga routine look like? I don't do yoga because my knee's fracked up. I'm not a yoga person anyway. Although I like yoga, but resistance training is most important. What blood test should I? Okay, Sherry. Okay, so Sherry, the thing that I like people to do is just get a glucometer. You can also test your A1C, your insulin, which most people don't ask for insulin, but insulin is a very good indicator because sometimes you can have lower blood sugar and don't realize that your insulin is out of the zone, or you're releasing too much insulin. It's stacking up in the bloodstream. Basically, you're showing insulin resistant responses. A bolus amounts of insulin. You also want to test your reproductive panel. Nobody ever tests that. Know your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, the three estrogens, progesterone, testosterone, super important for men and women. Those are my favorite tests. You can do a cortisol test, but they're super subjective. I mean, you have inverted cortisol if you're awake at night. So, hypoglycemia, you don't really need a test for. You can kind of tell. The symptoms are very loud. I don't like thyroid tests unless it's a full thyroid panel, and even that can be subjective. And no one does an LDL small particle B test. A girl I did a consultation with the other day, she did that because she heard me say in many streams, if you're going to do anything, do an LDL small particle test, a CRP, and know the difference between the HDL triglyceride ratio. That's all you need. Boom. I don't think there's any other tests that you need to. I mean, you could do allergy tests, but whatever. You could do what is it? You guys can do tests to see what type of parasites. If you have Giardia, if you have nasty parasites, Candida. But then again, not all tests reveal the different types of small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. But you could go to mymedlabs.com, mymedlabs.com, and do a comprehensive panel of all those things, right? Glutathione, reproductive hormones. You could do your gut, what kind of metabolites end up in your urine, which would be really, 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 really beneficial. If you guys have gallbladder pain, please go do an ultrasound on your gallbladder, right? And the pressure, nausea, those are gallbladder signs and symptoms, because a lot of people don't test their get that on. Steph, what brand of ghee from PaleoFX? It was called Fit for number 4 Health. Fit for Health was a vanilla flavored ghee. People really don't understand. If you're trying to lose weight, just follow the keto. Not only that, they need to understand the estrogen and insulin responses. That's the problem. Let me see. Hi, Bree. Yes, and the thyroid panel can vary, especially with people who've got Hashimoto's. Miracle noodles. Nah, I mean, I'm not really into the processed food. You know what I'm saying? I mean, technically, I prefer you guys to eat kelp noodles instead. Yes, do an antibodies test. TPO antibody test for thyroid people is probably one of the most important tests to take, is to understand your inflammatory markers with your thyroid. TPO antibody test. What brand of glucometer spelling? Probably Mojo is most popular right now. It's cheaper, whereas the Precision Extra, the Abbott glucometers were really expensive. The ketone strips are expensive. So the Mojo, MOJO. Boom. Wow, we got 170. I think this is the most I've ever had in a live stream. Like, streamers talk about just whatever. I get jealous. Like, I gotta sit here and answer questions about the body. It's not fair. That's the test for Hashimoto's, yes. The TPO antibody test, right. Let me see, when I'm trying to watch your videos after the live feed, it won't be played in live chat. I don't know. I think it's just you. Yeah, I've never heard that before. Why no America? Because it's processed food. That's why I don't like processed food. Cause is amazing. You rock. Thank you, Sail Laser. Thank you for your awesomeness. Thank you. Wednesdays are the best for lives. Oh, Dr. Steph. Maybe Wednesdays are the best for live stream. I was supposed to live stream on my keto course page, but it's so exhausting because I do many consultations there. I do many consultations with the group members, like split screen, and it really makes me exhausted. I'm not gonna lie, because people, it's like doing like 6 consultations crammed in at once, and then I'm like afterwards, I'm like I don't even move afterwards. Where here it's like flash, let's go. Ooh, 167. There's 170 people in this chat. Can we get the likes up, guys, for this 51-year-old pro expert skateboarder with a busted knee and 10 surgeries, right? Who helped her mama survive a glioblastoma with ketogenesis. Can we get the likes up? Do you guys want me to return with my silliness? See, because when you enter your 50s, you have a right to act like this, right? Because you've been walking on this planet dealing with crap for so long, you get a VIP pass for like neuroticism. No, I don't know, Dave. Oh, David Hackett, the skateboarder. Yes! If you're talking about David Hackett, the skateboarder, absolutely. No peanut butters. Peanut butters are super high in phytates. That's the reason why they ban peanuts on planes. You know, because people are having anaphylactic reactions, but even who don't have anaphylactic reactions, it's a legume. It's really, really hard on the digestive tract. It's a very high in anti-nutrients, and it's just bad for you. You know, and it is an omega-6 fatty acid. It's not even a 3, and we have too much 6 in our diet, right? Which gives us really wacky blood acidity, right? We're too acidic with our blood. Been eating peanuts. Stop! Oh my God, keto's so slow because of surgical menopause and hormone therapy. Very sad. 9 weeks only. Lost 7 pounds. Okay, Natasha, stop with the pounds, okay? Did you have a hysterectomy? So many women have. Okay, surgical menopause, hormone therapy. Wait, did you have a hysterectomy? Is that why you're on hormonal therapy? Doctors love to remove the uteruses of women. It really, really frustrates me. And women are they're not well versed in the reproductive system that when a doctor goes, oh, well, just take out your uterus. Women are like, yeah, just get rid of the pain or the cysts or the endometriosis or the fibroids. Just remove it. And then you go through menopause. And then they put you on a bunch of pills that mess you up. No only cacao butter, which is the white chocolate. The other stuff has too much caffeine. That's mycotoxins. But Brenda, Mojo for glucometer. I want to say that doing keto for at least 4 months has made my skin clear. Yay! Can't remember. That's probably because you're not eating as many wheat and the other dairy products, or caffeine, or soda, or chemicals. And hopefully you're eating higher qualities of food on keto. What's the best carbs to eat? Cruciferous. Broccoli, cauliflower, kale, asparagus, cabbage, and green beans, which is not a cruciferous. Crunchy, fibrous vegetables that are green with chlorophyll. Yeah, hysterectomy at 24. See? They gave Natasha a hysterectomy. And it makes you go into early menopause. It's not fair. It's not right. They don't need to take out your ovaries. That's wrong. And even if they take out the uterus, the ovaries still they atrophy. Doctors just don't explain stuff when you start. We need to remove your gallbladder. Is it infected? No, but it might be infected, so let's just remove your gallbladder. Now you can't absorb your vitamins anymore because you need the gallbladder, salts, to absorb the nutrients from fat-soluble vitamins. Now that's gone. What about the gastric sleeve and the lap band and the gastric bypass? These surgeries are a freaking money-making nightmare for people who are obese, and then they don't tell you that you are malabsorptive unless you have like the clip one, the band. But the sleeve one and the bypass one, they don't tell you that you fracked forever after that. You don't absorb your nutrition very well. And there are ways, right, to regulate your insulin and get your leptin and your thyroid and your organs, your kidney and liver to function properly again, and your colon, and detox from that estrogen to start losing that poundage and connecting to the circadian rhythm and diaphragmatic breathing, learning how to exercise. But why would they tell you to do that when they can just spend a lot of money on having you do a surgical procedure that is absolutely dangerous to your body? And I just dropped water. Okay, I have a patient who is abdominal surgery, and then, wait, let's see. I have a patient who is abdominal surgeon, and their favorite surgery is stomach bypass, second gallbladder removal. See, Sarah, Sarah's telling us, she's spitting the knowledge there. Got to get up at 3 a.m. Is that bad? Yeah, it is. I'm not gonna lie, you gotta go to bed extra early, and all of your sleep hygiene preparation before you go to bed is what will help you wake up in the middle of the night when your body's still trying to repair, because at 3 a.m. the actual body, right, according to the circadian rhythm, is still trying to repair at 3 a.m. It just is that way. Okay, snacks. What about snacks? You can't just write the word snacks, Mike. Come on. Like, Stephanie, jump. Oh, how high, Mike? People had a thyroid, okay. People, I had thyroid cancer and Hashimoto's post-menopause, and you can do keto and it works for me. Yes, Nurse Brandy. Is she a nurse? Okay, even and Nurse Brandy's telling us how to test my pH on a pee strip. I guess you can do a blood test as well. Fat bombs, coconut oil. I did a fat bomb video. I did a tea fat bomb, like 3 videos ago. Okay, you guys, I've been on for almost an hour, so I'm getting smarter at this. Okay, I can do quick story time. Blood pH is different than urine. Yes, urine, blood pH. Yes. Do guys ask you out? If they do, what's the weirdest experience? Jay, there isn't a weirdest. There's like 20 weirdest. Come on, if you're a woman with boobies and all the parts, you're going to get asked out at some point, okay? And yes, guys will ask, do and ask and say some weird stuff. Okay, I got a story. You know, I'm going to go into story time. I'm done with keto, so whoever's asking questions, I'm done. I'm going to do stuff story time, and then I'm out. Taking estrogen, testosterone, keto is working slow. Yeah, unfortunately, so Natasha, protect your adrenals, because you can still produce your reproductive hormones via your adrenals, although it may be much lower. But if you don't have since you don't have ovaries anymore, really, really learn how to build the strength of your adrenals, and you won't need so much of these freaking hormone HRT replacement therapy. Now I'm going to answer Jay Alexander's question about the weirdest stuff. So I remember a weird time that I was asked out. Candida overgrowth cause migraines? I don't know. Probably. Candida is nasty. It can get up past the blood-brain barrier. It more makes you like brain foggy, but I assume it could create headaches because it really makes the cells misfire. Finally, we got 156 likes and we got 160 people. Finally, for those who've not liked up the stream, like up the stream, because I'm about to go into story time. And you guys see that I try to do streams every other day because doing them every day gives me a headache. Okay, and not from Candida. Thank you guys for liking, the few that liked up the stream. What is your favorite? My favorite meat right now is liver. It's right now. That'll change. Okay. Welcome. You're alone. Is this works? Blah blah. Different. Listen to stuff. Exactly. Okay. So I'm gonna answer this question. I'm gonna go into story time because a lot of people have been asking about story time, and I've been not doing stories because it's getting late. So I was in the gym one day. Okay. And I was on the free motion cable machine doing chest flies, right? There's a fly, right? Chest fly. Boom. And there's this guy over there staring at me, stretching on a mat. And I'm like, I look at him and I was like, awkward. Like, dude is staring at me like I'm a freaking piece of steak. And I was like, okay, this is weird. So I just ignore him, but he wouldn't stop staring. I looked at him and I was like, is he cute at least? And I was like, no, he's not my type. He looks like a Republican. I'm not alone. It works just fine to be diligent and listen to stuff. Yes. Okay. You hate what? Stairs. Okay. Yum stick. Okay. So, you know what I don't like? I like when people look at me directly. So I'd rather have a guy look at me than look at me through the mirror or with the side eye and then act like he wasn't looking. I'd rather them just look at me than, so it wasn't the fact that he was looking at me. It was that a couple seconds too long type of thing where you're like, okay, that's a little too long. Is there something wrong with you? And then you start analyzing the way the person's dressed, if their movements, if you have some psychosomatic issues. So whatever, I was over, I got tired of him looking at me, so I went over to the other part of the gym, and I went to the free weights, and I was literally doing bicep curls, right? So there's a bicep curl, and I was doing bicep curls, probably time under tension, slow on the negatives, 3-second negatives, and I'm at least 3.5 feet, if not 4 feet from the dumbbell rack and the mirror. So I was standing very close, and I was looking at my form, and I'm doing this, and I'm doing the bicep curl, and this dude comes between me, the mirror, and the rack weight, and he was like this close to me. He was like that close. And I was like, and he was staring at me, and I was like, whoa, bro, you little too close. And he's smiling, right? He's like, and I'm like, what? And he goes, I want to tell you right now. Nah, Josh, I'd rather have people look at me than stare at me and pretend like they're not looking at me. Because at least I know what they're doing. So with that said, but the linger was too long. So with that said, he's like, then he opens up his mouth, and I'm like this. And women, we know, if we feel uncomfortable, we become biatchy, right? We get really biatchy. And we get sarcastic, at least I do. And so people don't see, I am probably the softest feather girl that you would ever meet on the inside, right? On the inside, I'm super sweet, I'm super soft, but in live streams, you're not really being 100% your organic self because you're talking right now, it's 159 people, it's awkward. It's just, it's unnatural to our human nature. So then this other side of my character comes out. But when a guy's in your space and he's that close to your face, you get really rigid. So he's like, he says, his opening line was, I was watching over there and I'm like, yeah, I noticed. Hello. And he's like, I almost left the gym because you're more fit than I am. And that's embarrassing to a man. That was his opening line. Which then I didn't know what to say. So I had this like, I had this weird, nervous half grin. But he was smiling from ear to ear. He was smiling in my face. He looked dead at me in the eyes. He was completely right there at me. And I started feeling uncomfortable. Now I'm going to tell you something. I like to be uncomfortable because I am bored half the time. People are so predictable. I already know. Like, I'm dodging weirdos. Like, there's a weirdo, there's a weirdo. And I know how to maneuver around people because they're so freaking predictable. So with that said, he kept doing things that I couldn't predict. So I started feeling awkward. And I love to be awkward, not in the moment, but in retrospect, I realize how good it is for me to deal with different social situations that might make me feel uncomfortable. So with that said, he starts asking me about my workouts and what do I do and so forth and so on. And then I was the kind of person who was like, no eye contact and don't ask him any questions because he's going to think that I'm interested. So I'll just let him keep asking until he realizes that my little attitude is like going to scare him off. But nothing I did scared him off. The tough side of Stephanie didn't scare him off. My absolute rudeness and sarcasm did not scare him off. It didn't stop him from stopping his smiling directly at me. And then I started to relax. I was like, he's not going anywhere. He's continuing to ask questions. He's not a psychopath, but this is weird. It's just weird. So he tells me that he is a restaurant owner. It was a lounge. That was at a lounge. And that on Sundays there's a jazz night and that I should come. And I'm like, okay, I'm a little intrigued because we start going into quantum physics. So he's still 2 inches from my face, and we started talking about quantum physics, which I love quantum physics. And he asked me what my favorite subject was, and I said quantum physics. And I was like, what do you know about it? And then he started spitting some knowledge. I was like, all right, he's not stupid. Me, since I was doing push-up and someone stared at me, I seemed to be more... That's how it was with skateboarding. If people are watching me, I'm like, oh, I'm going to do an invert. I would do an invert. I'm going to do front side air, foot extended, if somebody's watching, but I digress. But it was kind of awkward stare. So with the so with that said, he said, you should come. Now, he's flexing, right? He's like, oh, I'm a lounge owner. So he's like, basically, I'm established, I make money, you know, he's doing like the male he's swinging it, right? Like Eddie Murphy used to say. He's like, how are you? So he's like flexing his ego, and he's like, you should come to my night on Sundays. And I said, I'll think about it. Now, his reaction to me saying I'll think about it is like, I'll think about it? Wait, I'll think about it? He's like, that is the lamest answer ever. He's like, either say yes or say no, but don't give me that crap that you'll think about it. And I said, I'll think about it, okay? I told you that I would think about it, all right? I told you. And he was like, okay, whatever. And he had given me his business card, and I go, I gotta go. I walk away. I'm out the gym, and I just heard his voice on replay. I'll think about it. You make a choice. Stand on one foot or the other. Shite or get off the pot. But don't give me this garbage. Like, this was going on replay. It was going around and around and around in my head. And I was in the changing room. I was getting my stuff. I was leaving the gym. I was unlocking my bike. Because as you guys know, I like to ride my bike everywhere. And then I'm like, he's right. If I don't want to go, just say no. Do I actually want to go? Because I started to feel torn to actually go. So I had his number. I grabbed my phone. I called the number. He's still in the gym. I said, okay, I'll go. You're right. Shite or get off the pot. He's like, great. So I go, and he treated me like he's like the big dog at this jazz lounge thing with like 5-star dining. And he literally, it was a packed night, it was busy, and he literally just was like telling his managers and everybody to deal with everything while he treated me like literally like I was a queen that night. And that's the story. That's the story. It ended up not working out between he and I, but we're still friends to this day. Let's just put it that way. We're still friends, and this is years and years and years ago. But I really feel like when guys, see, if a guy is persistent with me and persistent, my guard goes down, right? If he's confident, if he's not cocky, and he kept a smile. So even though he was sarcastic to me, the smile disalarmed me. It took down that wall. And that's the story. That's what happened to you. The doctor removed my gallbladder, and I didn't. Okay, we're still talking about that. Okay, my friends. Sounds like real stormy romance. No, it wasn't stormy. It wasn't stormy. We were so different, you know. Like I don't like his life is the nightlife. You know, it's a lounge. He'd have like club nights. Like that's not me. You know, I'm not a club. Y'all know I love to dance, right? I'll be dancing in the club. I love to dance. Love to dance. But now, people got the cell phones out. I cannot see, even though I have an Instagram, which is Stephanie Ketogenic, and I've got Facebook pages. I've got a keto course and a private page, which is Stephanie the Business Person. I don't want to go out and have my phone out doing selfies. It makes me sick. And when I'm at the gym, I've caught myself looking at my phone, so I made a promise to myself that my head must remain up and that I can listen to music. It must remain down. I give myself a couple seconds to pick a song, but I don't go through the phone. I won't answer questions, texts, social media. I completely cut myself off from it. And a part of that also is just looking at the millennials with their necks in a down position, completely being disengaged. When I learned how to work out, you guys, I started working out in Sweden. Yes, your body is your body. för alla som kommer från Sverige som förstår vad jag säger. Jag tränade på Olympic gym i Göteborg. So with that said, I started working out in Sweden, and at that time there were cell phones like Nokia and Ericsson, and they were like that big. They were ahead of the States, but there was no social media, and so nobody used their phone. Nobody used their phone in the gym, and it was like a really great gym culture. It was owned by a private couple who were a fitness couple in Sweden, and I really learned how to work out, and people really showed me, gave me a lot of tips. Our heads were up. We would go and have lunches post-workout. It was great. Here in the States, everybody's got their face up in their phone everywhere, walking their dog, holding their child, at the gym, in the bank. I can't stand it. So when this guy was like, having me go out at that time, which is years ago, social media really hadn't started now, and I still love to dance. I can't. So I have my music on in the gym, and I dance like I'm in a nightclub, and everybody knows in my gym that half of my workout is me dancing, straight up, no joke. I keep waiting for somebody to film me that I don't know and putting it on the internet. Everybody should disconnect from their cell phones more often. I agree, Irene. Technology has taken over the world. It's disgusting. I can't stand it. It makes me sick. That's the reason why you guys, sometimes I don't answer questions anymore. People sit and constantly on YouTube, blah, 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 and on Instagram, blah, 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 and on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And that's why I created a keto course, because I'm like, if you guys really want to know, go to the course. You have more interaction with me. I answer questions. I do stuff, blah, 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 blah. I create a course structure. And then that's where I give all my love to that page. But the rest of the social media, I kind of like don't care anymore. Because it's like you have people pulling at you, pulling at you, pulling at you, pulling at you for information. And as one person, it's not natural. This isn't natural on the internet, which is why sometimes you see me on live streams rant. Because this is not natural. There's no way to act on a live stream because it's never been done before. I'm 50 years old. This wasn't around most of my life. I don't know how to act. So then I have to learn how to act on all this antiquated stuff. ETA on the book. There's no ETA. Nobody asked me the ETA on the book. The more you ask, the more I don't say. When my book is going to be finished, turned in, and then the editing starts going on with the publishing company, then I'll tell you. When they're ready to start announcing pre-sale dates, that's when I'll tell you. Otherwise, it's a lot of pressure. So there's a lot of stuff going on with the book that you guys don't know about. But at the end of the day, the book is friggin' epic. It's going to be the best keto book out there. For show, okay? Because I've been working so hard to put it in a language as I speak, in a language that's universal, that everyone can understand and digest and not get bored. Because my version of keto is not internet sexy, right? I'd be like, internet sexy would be like, hey you guys, all right, follow my 90-day program and get ripped and lean like me, yeah. And I would make so much cash. But you know what I do instead? I go, check your stool to see if it's floating. See if it's pale. See if it's greasy. See if your pee is bubbly. You might be losing amino acids. I'm talking about the gallbladder and the pressure and the nausea. That's not internet sexy, right? So I sit and I put myself in a half top, and you guys can see me every day at 50 and see that this is the real Holyfield deal, okay? That's the only way that I can draw you guys in, is to not wear a buttoned up shirt up to here, and then, not showing who I really am in that context. Monica says, you're doing great, Stephanie. Thank you so much for all of what you have been doing. I have learned so much. Thank you. And Sarah's like, screw everyone else. They can't get constipated and bald. Let me see. You have helped me a lot. I've dropped 58 pounds. Wow. Be careful in a month. Blah, if you drop 58 pounds, you might be a little gluconeogenic. Be careful about that. That's unhealthy to lose weight that fast. So just be very, 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 very careful. And your electrolytes as well. Back to the body fat topic. No. When I do story time, it means I'm done. There ain't no more. Stephanie does the science talk, and then she does the story, and then she's out. That's what happens. So you're going to have to catch me on the next live stream. You guys don't forget to hit the subscription. So when I go live, I'll just pop up. You'll get I follow other people, so when they live streamers, because I'm trying to learn how to live stream better. So when they go live, it'll pop up as, you know, Stephanie's gone live, and you can watch replay because I don't put any of my videos. So a lot of you guys, a lot of these live streamers that make money off of this, they will do a live stream and then they'll private it, or they'll unlist it, and they'll say, oh, go to my Patreon if you want to watch it, the replay. I don't do that. It's just up on the internet, and I'm constantly live streaming, and I'm talking about subjects that I get tired of talking about. It's like Aretha Franklin singing the same, you know, R-E-S-P-E-C-T, she's singing the same song. Sometimes I like to talk about other stuff like quantum physics, like, you know, what it's like to be in your 50s and look at the society and, you know, haplo groups, right, migrational patterns. I love how ethnically we're all diverse and how climate plays such a big role. I love going back to hunter-gatherer tribe stuff. This is stuff I love to talk about, okay? I like to talk about when we were more egalitarian societies in smaller groups and everybody had their role, when societies became bigger, sciencey things, the first brain surgery, you know, the Mayan calendar. That's the stuff I like to talk about, okay? Kind of the stuff that Joe Rogan likes to talk about, but a little bit well, more from a female perspective and from a, you know, just a different perspective. But I'm always talking about keto. Someone's like, okay, back to the fat loss. I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm good. Thanks. To everyone, okay. Sarah says, I tell everyone I meant to watch you and not listen to everyone else. The people I find doing it wrong, are mostly dudes. Yeah, exactly. Who are probably, screwing their testosterone into the ground. Yes. Wonderful stream. Thank you, Lulu Lime Designs. Thank you. Hi, Lulu Lime Designs. Thank you, guys. I kept, was at like 170 people, went down to 130, and I kept everybody through a story. And that's what makes me feel good. I'd love to do more live streams that are more diverse. I wake up with blood sugar between 70 to 79, but then the day it's at 80, 89, and it's still in ketosis. No. Especially if your blood sugar gets close to 90, that's not ketotic. Just don't measure your blood sugar. You also have to know if you're making viable ketones, so use a blood glucometer, test your fasted ketones, and then you have to chart down and journal how you feel to make sure that you are not malabsorptive and not using the ketones. Okay, guys, we had 188. I'm going to end this with 188 likes and 131 people now in the chat. I love to see the like ratio over the amount of people here. Thank you so much for joining the chat. For those who are watching the replay, I'm trying to do them every other day. If I don't do them every day, I'm fine. So where are you, Stephanie? Are you okay? And that's what happens when you start to get regular followers who are looking for content and just a different voice. I'm a different voice on the internet. And I just want to say thank you for Deborah, who's a moderator, and thank you for Richard, who's a moderator, and thank you for everybody coming to this chat, the newbies, and also the people who've been supporting me all along. And you guys know I've been on the internet forever. I've been doing keto for 10 years, over 10 years now. I have worked with thousands of people. I've done thousands of videos, and I've traveled all around the world doing keto. So when people are like, can you do keto traveling? I'm like in the jungles of freaking Cambodia doing keto. Don't get it twisted. And I'm strict in the context of keeping keto very clean. And I'm trying to learn from you guys. This is where I get my knowledge, is from you guys and learning about the science of the body. Because I love science. I'm a science geek-azoid. So thank you so much for joining this chat. And if you want to catch me on my Facebook, my Instagram, which is more fun for me because I do the stories, like I'm constantly doing story time. Not story time, I'm doing snippets of health information on my stories, which is Stephanie Ketogenic. And I'm out, guys, so thank you. Got some energy, right? Remember the old days when I used to say I had energy and I was more of a dork on the internet? Don't watch the old videos. That's what's up, and I'm out. Thank you, you guys. My phone's blurry. I thought it got fixed. Darn it. Bye, everyone. Jay, I'm out. Love you, too. Thank you, Deborah. And I'm out.